for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENOM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's up guys, OVERPOWERED here back with another video, and today me bringing you guys another defensive video. This one's going to be another blitz and overall defensive coverage scheme out of the nickel 3-3-5 odd formation. We've kind of gone away from this for a little bit. I touched up on the 2-4-5 odd, but now we're back. Gonna bring you guys another setup. Now I do think there's also a play that could work out a 2-4-5 odd, so if you're running that, you could do it. But Giants defensive playbook is going to be a little bit better, and you'll see some more people probably start using it because of the 1-4-6 threat. So that's the reason that I'm going to bring you guys some more plays probably out of the Giants playbook. We're going to start out back in the 3-3-5 odd formation. The blitz still does work to this day. It's never been patched. Very surprising, not with EA, but yeah, so I'm going to show you guys a new blitz, new setup, and overall one of the best ways to run this formation. Once again, to run the blitz, you need a player at this slot with under 80 agility. It doesn't matter. Of course, you want more speed if you can. The Chiefs don't really have much speed at the linebacker position to begin with, let alone under 80 agility. So we have like 82 speed. It's going to work, though, perfectly fine. But of course, the more speed, the better in Ultimate Team. Of course, you can get safeties at linebackers in this particular formation. And yeah, let's get into it. So the actual play that I'm going to run is going to be this corner blitz 3 at the top. Now, let's touch up on our zone drops because we did adjust those. Make sure you have auto flip off, and then you're going to want to set your curl flats to 20 and your flats to 5. As I mentioned, we're running that corner blitz 3, and make sure you run it flip. So it's normally on this side, press RT, flip it, and it really only works from this side. So make sure that you do have that in particular. I'm going to go up against this gun bunch. Again, gun bunch, very popular. So, of course, we're going to run this. Now, hopping into our setup, you see that blitzing corner is going to be on the solo side receiver. That's exactly what you want because we're actually going to pretty much be manning him up. So we're going to man him up just like this. And then basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to spread my defensive line, spread my linebackers, and contain. So let's just talk about the blitz first. We can really leave all the routes here. I'm just going to put X in a different route because I don't really want him blitzing. Kind of gets in the way. But for mainly the blitz setup, in case you forgot, again, I haven't ran this in a little bit. So you're just going to spread your defensive line, spread your linebackers, and then contain by pressing RB twice. Just like so. Of course, we're going to send out all these routes, snap the ball, and you see right there, that is how it works. Now, honestly, even though Damian Wilson there is very, very slow, he's not super fast, the blitz still comes through relatively fast. The speed does not affect it as much as you might think it would. So even though I'm using Kansas City, the blitz still can get through very quickly. And you saw there, still does work. Now, of course, there are some certain ways to block this blitz. I think things like, if I actually double team this player, sometimes it doesn't let you, but there's certain ways to block it. Weird stuff you have to do. But again, not too many people run this, so certain people probably forget how to block it, how to do certain things, especially if they're not in a bunch, if they're in trips. What if they're in trips? You're blitzing off that other side, not the running back side. Then things can get a little bit tricky, as you would probably assume. So we'll show the blitz getting through once again there, and you see very, very successful. Now, I think there's a certain threshold where the offensive tackle can potentially block him. I was trying this early against the 49ers, and Trent Williams, for whatever reason, was blocking it really well, but as soon as I subbed him out, he wasn't. So maybe like a super good player defends, or a super good offensive tackle defends a slower blitzer. But as long as you have more speed, it shouldn't really matter. So it really would only make the difference against a really slow guy. But you see right there, I actually had the running back. I think it was, who's the running back? It's McKissick. I had McKissick on this standard route. I didn't change it. So this is a check and release hook. So realistically, he's going to look for a blocker, and he's looking for the blocker. He doesn't do anything, and then he just runs his route. And of course, we have our free rusher able to get free. But that's pretty much it for the blitz. Let's hop into our actual defensive setup now. For this defensive setup, pretty much what you're going to do is you're going to press your defensive backs, of course, for that zone coverage side. As I did state previously, we're going to actually end up manning up X. Of course, you're going to set up the blitz the same way. That's pretty much implied, though. Now we have a couple of things we could do. Now, for our first setup, we're going to go with a man coverage, zone coverage hybrid. The reason for that is because I can't really double flat on that left side and have the man coverage. We'll probably do something kind of like that. a little bit later in our next setup. But what we're going to do pretty much is we're going to, first things first, we're actually going to man up the running back just like this. Man up this linebacker here, or safety in our case, on the running back. We're going to use the 3 receiver hook. Then on this left side, I want a double flat. So I'm going to put B in a hard flat. Again, these guys really don't make a difference. This blitz, honestly, I think could work with one person. It definitely works with 2 people. So you can get really diverse with it. You can send 2-man rushes all you want. I'm more of a 3-man rush guy because if it gets blocked, if it gets chop blocked, then it's an easy pocket step up or roll out to the right in most cases, because it doesn't really contain to that right side when you put the defensive end in the zone. But yeah, here's going to be our first setup. Of course, I can deep half B if I want to, but overall, not a bad setup if you ask me. It's going to be difficult for them to find something open other than like a curl route. So if we snap this flood play stock, you'll see coverage really well, instant pressure, difficult to find reads open when you're under duress. And overall, I think this corner blitz 3 maximizes the adjustments. It saves you a little bit of time. And even if you get quick snap, you should have a good or solid defensive setup behind it. Again, really the reason I'm going with corner blitz is just because I think it allows me to maximize my setup the best. Of course, depending on what I was doing, it could be a little bit better. Now, again, I'll show that setup. And of course, it can even maximize our next setup a little bit better than this one, because we're actually going to leave Thornhill in that curl flat zone, I think. But yeah, setting everything up the same. Of course, you can set that blitz up as soon as you can, because if you get quick snap, you at least want to have the blitz off. That's what I would recommend doing. And then you can simply man up these players and then just put that guy in a hard flat. So it's pretty simple. Overall, of course, you're just pressing, doing those blitz adjustments, and then all you have to do is man 2 people up and put one guy in the zone. It's relatively simple compared to some of the more complicated defenses that I could post or that you could actually do in this game. And overall, very successful, very effective. If I go with a new play, let's go with like something verticals. You'll see, of course, there's some things I have to watch in the middle of the field with a verticals play. Not that many people run verticals, but you see how even A barely gets upfield, and it would be very difficult to even throw A, because I can kind of work on A and then go to RB. And you see the pressure gets there quick enough. Of course, this isn't, as I mentioned, the fastest guy that I could get. You can get guys like Devin White, Montez Sweat, and Ultimate Team. There's probably some even glitchier guys that I don't know. But you're going to get very high speeds, and of course, that's going to maximize the potential of your setup. I'll show that setup one more time, and then we will hop into some of the other things that you can do. But again, you're just going to press, set up the blitz, man up that guy, man up the running back on this side. And of course, the adjustments do kind of depend on what formation you're going up against, I would say. But overall, I face a lot of bunch. You can pretty much create some similar things out of bunch tight end. Of course, you can choose who you want to man up, but I would have the zone pretty much to the same side. Of course, I can run it like a sock cover 3, which I'll probably show one time just so you can get a look at what it might look like. But let's run it again. You see here, that was a check and release once again with J.D. McKissick, and he still just stands there and blocks absolutely nothing. Of course, a traditional block would be a little bit different, but for now, it's going to be not terrible, especially considering the fact that they have to actually block him. They can't just put him on check and release. So let's show a double Mabel real briefly, like I just mentioned. So if I were going with the double Mabel, I would pretty much set up a cover 3 cloud over here. Of course, in cover 3 cloud, this guy's not going to be on a curl flat stock. So you're not saving any adjustments or you're not losing any adjustments by being in this rather than cover 3 cloud is what I was trying to say. As far as your other adjustments, of course, we want to double flat the other side just like this. Now, since our curl flat is playing a little bit deeper, I could do a couple of different things. Now, the first thing I could do is I could just run it like this, and I could move Juan Thornhill back here. Now, of course, the next thing you could do is you could actually potentially change your zone drop. So if I were to run this and I did not change my zone drops, but I would set my clouds to 20 and my curl flats to 5, what I would do is I would press, shade over the top, or shade underneath, then over the top, get those cloud flats. And then pretty much what I would do is I would just put X in the cloud flat, curl flat this guy, and then I would curl flat my defensive lineman. So this would be your alternative option, just like so. So this would work. Of course, I have everything backwards, so it's going to look a little bit weird. But that would be certainly an option that you can go with. Anyways, hopping into our next setup, it's actually going to be kind of similar to that double Mabel thing we just did. But what we're going to do here is it's going to be a 2-man rush setup, and we can still get some man coverage on the back end. So it's going to be a little bit more versatile, and I'm going to show you guys a couple of different ways to disguise your user in it. But for the first setup, we're going to set up everything up the same. And it's going to be very similar to the double flat setup. Pretty much what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to man up X on X once again here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to throw B in his hard flat. And then over on the left side, as I mentioned, you can go with a two-man rush setup. And I can actually put either of those extra defensive linemen in zone. And I'm actually going to use Frank Clark because I want the guy on the left. So I'm going to put Frank Clark in there. He has no effect on the play. Again, it's only the contain. Obviously, it doesn't matter that any guys are shifting because the left tackle can't block him regardless. But here's a look at the setup. Two-man rush, double Mabel. You have some extra man coverage over there so I don't have to really shade over the top. Of course, I can deep half, whatever. But here would be the way to run it. We still get pressure. Of course, we have double Mabels. It just gives us some extra zone. And overall, it's a good, unique setup to kind of mix things up. Again, this setup is press. Man up Y on X. Set up the blitz the same way. And then you just throw both of your defensive ends in hard flats. And then last thing you could do is maybe shade over the top if you wanted to. Just get those guys to not press. But yeah, it's pretty similar. Of course, it's not too overly complicated in my opinion. You snap the ball right here. Let's try to get rid of it. I try to throw it. I get sacked. So not much open. Of course, I still got to watch the middle of the field. But again, it's not terrible in my opinion. Let's show some of the ways to disguise it. Now, if I were disguising it, what I would do is I would pretty much set up an actual cover 3. So I would probably put X on a little outside third or outside quarter. I would set everything up pretty much the same way from this standpoint. My biggest difference would be that I could actually use Rashad Fenton over here, and I still get the 3 receiver hook in the middle of the field. So this gives me some help over the middle of the field. It allows me to use a new guy, which we have not been able to do today. Use this top safety, which in this case is a cornerback. And it's just a good way. You always want to kind of diversify things. Especially from this standpoint in the fact that you're able to different players, still get the blitz to work. Right there, you see the 3 receiver hook is going to be able to cover a lot of ground because of how aggressive of a zone it is. Here's the instant replay, and you see already it's making a difference, following things, covering this gap over here. My player would be McKissick in this case, and you see how the in route still defended relatively well. Overall, pretty solid setup. I'll show that one more time. Again, you're going to press. Set everything up the same way. Just put X in a little outside third zone, and then you're gonna accidentally did it wrong, but you're gonna put both D ends in hard flats, and then you can just shade over the top, blitz this guy, and that's gonna be your user. Of course, there's other ways to bluff blitz. If you want to see some more bluff blitz setups, check out some of the other 335 videos I've done. But solid setup, and honestly, you could even get crazier and rush one person, but people start to catch on. That's when you want to go with bluff blitz or different setups, confuse them. Maybe you flip the play but don't actually blitz, some things like that. But overall, it's going to do for the video. If you enjoyed, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more, and peace. I'm out of here.